Hello and welcome to the September edition of Mayor's Corner with Romulus Mayor Leroy Burcroft. Mayor, let's start off with this phrase that we've been using frequently, Romulus Home of Opportunity. What does that mean to you, and if you could expound on that a little bit?
Sure, Dennis. Kind of where this came from is when I first came into office and we went through the visioning process. From after the visioning, kind of the takeaways from that, we went through what's called a branding, kind of a branding opportunity or a branding process. And when people hear the word branding, probably the first thing they think of is, companies that have brands that are out there. Everybody knows the McDonald's M. You don't have to say McDonald's; they recognize it. Everybody knows the Nike swoosh without even putting Nike on it. So the whole thought with branding is to basically kind of to draw a picture, a mental picture of our community, and what does it mean when they see that, and the tagline that goes along with it. So when we went through the visioning process, we heard from both residents and people outside our community, Dennis, that when they thought of Romulus, that obviously the airport came to mind. Some other local businesses came to mind, but what the message that was being missed, especially people who did not know Romulus, is that it's so much more than that. So what we've been doing is kind of going through that process, and now we're actually rolling out the tagline that you mentioned, Home of Opportunity, and also kind of our new logo. And for example, here's just a mug that has the name and kind of our beautiful maroon colors, and we're sticking to the hometown maroon and white kind of feel. But as people see that, and they see that tagline, they go, oh, that's Romulus. Oh, that's the feel, that's the story that's kind of behind that.
And it's going good with all the signs that we've got out, the city signs with the big R on them and everything.
I'm getting a lot of comments from residents on it, that they're noticing that. And I guess with branding, you want to be consistent.
Right.
So you want to try to utilize that for events, for websites, for phone apps, for, my business cards now have that, just so that everybody gets used to seeing it and it's recognizable. And more importantly, it'll kind of tell the message behind that logo.
When you say Home of Opportunity, it sounds like you're aiming at businesses, but this probably means something not only to businesses but to the residents as well.
Oh, you're right on with that. I mean, it's more than just businesses. I mean, obviously, what's unique about Romulus is we have this undeveloped land. But Dennis, we're unique because we have commercial, industrial, and residential undeveloped land. So the opportunity, a piece of it is our chance to kind of shape the community where we go with this undeveloped land, but the opportunities are even way beyond that. So it's having an identity, it's having something to market and sell that's pleasing to people outside our community that want to draw them in to develop in any one of those areas.
I know that people, even people who live in the city, don't realize that we're building new homes in this city, especially in the Gateway area and down there. So there's an opportunity there for residents who want to upgrade their home or new residents coming in. What's it mean to the Romulus Community Schools?
Well, and I think, the Romulus Community Schools are part of our community. So when myself as mayor or economic development or our team is out kind of promoting Romulus for development, the schools they're looked at. I mean, when we're talking to people that want to, Infinity is the group that's building a lot of homes in Gateway and the preserves. So when we're talking to people like that that want to invest in residential homes, some of the first questions that come up are, tell me about your community. Tell me about the roads. Tell me about the schools. Tell me about parks. Tell me about recreation. Tell me about things that add value. Everybody knows, and if they haven't, that we have the lowest operating millage of any city in Wayne County of the 43 communities. They know that, but what they want to know is, what do you get for that? So, now schools are separate from that portion. That's the city's portion, but all those other things, the parks and all those values, value proposition that we bring, that's the real takeaway for the residents. And we heard that in the visioning, and now it's our job to deliver that and deliver it beyond our border in Romulus. So
you mentioned the airport earlier, and for a lot of people, the airport has been a negative, but we all know it's not going to go away. So how does the airport fit into this home of opportunity?
Sure, and that's an interesting question because for myself, I mean, I grew up in a homestead that was displaced by the 4th parallel runway. And the way I view the airport is, bottom line is, it's here, we're here. So I view it as the largest economic engine in not just southeast Michigan, but in our whole region. So what we're looking at with the airport is how does that add value to what we're doing here? It adds value because of jobs, number one, the economic growth and the jobs that we get. And believe it or not, there are a lot of beautiful homes that when they have people that come over don't even know they're by an airport. They don't hear airplanes. Now, if you're in a direct flight path, maybe a little different. But from a standpoint of opportunity, the airport is huge. There are 18,000 people every day that go to work at the airport. Now,
that's
they don't
quite
know.
a figure.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
I was just talking with our Congressman Conyers, and when I gave him those numbers about, okay, we're 24,000 some for residents, but 18,000 that actually work in the airport, you know, he had no idea. And so what that means when we're trying to ask people like Washington for help or others or getting businesses to locate here, why not leverage that airport as well? Now, you know, the airport also, we're unique because we have 2 major interstates, so we have 94, 275.
Right.
We also have rail. With all transportation, there's always some pros and cons, but one of the things that we're trying to look at is how do we pull the pros from that? How do we get the benefit for all our good residents that are here that want to see things happen for our community because of that airport? So I think it ties in perfectly. We're sharing the information that we went through with the visioning and with the branding with the airport management team. Because of our relationship now with the airport and the airport management, we now have you know, basically an auto aid agreement as far as mutual aid for fire. So that, and some people don't realize that, you know, we have the airport right in the center, but we're getting the benefit now because of we're working with the airport. And I think you get a lot more by working with the airport than just, it'd be easy for me,
right,
as having my homestead displaced, to just shake my fist and say, the airport,
right,
you know, there's a ton of benefits. So I think it really dovetails into that message.
Do the Romulus opportunities, how does this differ with other communities?
Well, you know, as far as everybody's trying to market themselves, you know that,
yeah,
and there are communities that are trying to sell what is their kind of niche as a community. What I feel, you know, Romulus has that many others do not. I mean, let's look around. I mean, you look at, and you know, Dearborn, Taylor, Westland, other communities. Most of them are built out. Now, some people say, well, that's great. You know, they already have a mall. They already have some development. They have some residential. But to me, you know, the way the tax structure is in the state of Michigan, once you're built out, it's a very tough system to provide revenue to support those services.
Right.
So, you know, if you look at the tax structure that's set up in the state of Michigan, the communities that are having new growth, that's non-abated, non-discounted type tax structure, those are the ones that are going to have more revenue to do things for their residents in the future. So to me, that, you know, I can't think of one other community that has a major metropolitan airport, that has 2 major interstates, that has rail, that has zoning, and that's prime for development, that has undeveloped land. We do. Here's the key, and this is really important. Once we develop it, Dennis, it's got to be something we're proud of. So people hear about a lot of different development, and this fell through and this didn't come. To me, I'd rather have the right development and be proud of what we've done. And kind of the analogy I've used before is, you know, painting a canvas. I mean, once you paint that canvas, you got to be happy with that mural. So that's kind of the way we're viewing it. But that, to answer your question, really sets us apart from any other communities that I know in our region.
You know, and when you put all this together and it kind of dovetails together, what does this mean to the average citizen in Romulus?
Sure, sure. And that's really important. What I like about it is that, you know, this wasn't something that just Burcroft came up with.
Right.
And where we got our research from the branding process, we actually used a third party. It was a company called New Moon that we work with. They gathered data. So guess what they did? They went out and talked to average residents, Dennis. They went to Blue Sky and met with people. They went downtown. They talked to schools. They talked to businesses. They had focus groups. They did surveys. So what they heard from our residents was they like the hometown feel. They like the fact that in Romulus, they kind of joke with us. They said, be careful who you're talking to. They might be related. So, it's a hometown feel. Everybody kind of knows everybody. But to be just outside of a huge, metropolitan Detroit area is unique, and so we pulled what our residents told us. This isn't something that just Burcroft dreamed up. This came from people that talked to us that said they like the hometown feel. So the company that we work with, they did an awesome job with their research. To be honest with you, we didn't utilize them for the completion of the logo and the tagline. You know what we did? We brought it in-house. And we talked to people who grew up in Romulus, who know Romulus, who went to Romulus schools. And that's really allowed us to take that data that they did and really hone it into what we feel is a dynamic message, and it fits who we are.
Was there any concerns when you talk to people? Would they say, what's going to happen to the city seal? Is that going to change?
A little bit, Dennis. Good point. And just to be clear, we are not changing our official city seal. I believe that seal that was established when we were incorporated in 1970 needs to stay. You will see that hanging in the council chambers. You will still see it on official documents. You'll see it on our stamp. But this logo, or the Romulus Style R and the Home of Opportunity, is used to designate the brand and to help sell that brand. I was talking to some other mayors and supervisors, and we were sharing about what we were doing with branding and the whole logo thing, and the seal came up. And you want to be careful with the seal, because the seal has an identity of history and kind of how it was evolved in some of the founding fathers. And so I said, no way do we want to change that. We want to respect that, preserve that, because you need that history. We just want to make sure that we move forward with the branding. But when I was talking to those mayors, I asked them, I said, do you know what our city seal looks like? None of them could pick one thing about it, even though it had been on business cards, it had been on letterhead. So what that tells me is that we need something that's simple, concise, that they'll recognize and tell that story. And the maroon and white and the R and the Home of Opportunity very much fits that. So we're going to preserve it. We're still going to have an official seal, but this is just one more additional thing to help tell our story.
So how does the city plan to utilize this tagline of Home of Opportunity?
Well, good question. We're using it now in several different forms. I'm using it now, as I mentioned, business cards, our iPhone app. We're using it on the website. If you drive around town, you look at our electronic signs, you'll now see that similar logo. So it's not just going to one day people wake up and see it everywhere. It's going to slowly creep into all the things that we're doing. When people see cable programming like this, when they see programs like Sounds of Downtown and Music in the Park and all these things we're doing, recreation, they're going to see it kind of weaved in subconsciously to all the things we're doing, and all of a sudden now it's something that they identify with. So we are also using it now when I go out and meet new residential residents or new businesses. We bring them a welcome packet, and in that welcome packet they're going to see the tagline, the logo. Will they still see the official seal to some extent? Sure. When they get their official documents and tax bills and things like that.
Right. But
it's very important to kind of weave it in everything we do and kind of make it just part of our identity in anything that the city of Romulus is doing. So it's going to be a tool, and it's also when we do presentations to new business. Tim Keys and I, our Economic Development Director, just hosted 18 investors at one of the local hotels that are looking to invest in Romulus. Believe me, that tagline, that logo, was in our PowerPoint. It was in the stuff I was handing out. I gave them little buttons with the tagline and with the logo. And so we're weaving it into pretty much everything we do so that it just becomes a natural fit for everything that the city of Romulus is touching and doing.
With this new branding, the average resident, what can they do to further this, or businesses or anybody else? I mean, is this open for the average resident to maybe put on their letterhead or things like that?
Absolutely. All we ask is just contact us. We have the The logo and the tagline, the artwork is ready to go. Just let us, have a say in where that's utilized. But we need help getting it out, Dennis. So
Okay.
this is something that it doesn't do us any good to just keep on a shelf. If they're programming or things that we can support them with, we're very proud of it. We kept the hometown feel and the hometown colors to do just that. So contact our office. We'll be happy to let people know how they can help us get that out. We're also going to be sharing it and have shared it with the schools and businesses as well, and encourage them to do it. A lot of times we have businesses here that they're giving presentations to people they're bringing into Romulus. They want to use that, and we're okay with that. Just run that by us, and we'll be happy to provide that artwork so you can help tell our story and tell our message.
It's been some very exciting times here in the past few years with the growth of the city, and everything that's going on. The economy seems to have picked up. We got more housing, and we got businesses that are coming in. It's been a good run so far.
It has been. It's been tough too. When we came in, we had a lot to do, but I'm very proud of what our team has done. Being able to open up parks and have recreation and things that, and what some people forget is that, we didn't ask for more tax revenue to do this. So all the programs, all the things that we've done, all the businesses. Now, do we have a lot more to do? Absolutely, Dennis. This opportunity, we have a lot that we want to see our residents want in the Vining and Wick area, #1, and #2 downtown. So it's exciting times. We have a great team doing a lot of good work, but there's so much more to do. So we're up for that challenge, and if we can get the residents to help us spread that message, it's a win for everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mayor Berghoff, and thank you for watching Mayor's Corner. We'll see you next month.